Well, today I'm going to recap of JavaScript. So I'm gonna cover some fundamental topics, and it's also cover like is this feature and the DOM. So this is like the feature that's gonna help the to make the website interactive, and the way it's do that like that JavaScript gonna access like HTML DOM, and then it's gonna alter the value or manipulate it in many ways. So it's gonna like re-render the web page, so it's gonna display it dynamically. So what it means like dynamically and interactive. For example, my purpose is like I gonna create like one web page in like raw HTML and CSS, so it's not use JavaScript. So my goal is like display like one variable inside this start like var1 like the number, and then I assert like initial value as 1, and then I scroll another button. It's gonna increase like the elements by 1, increase the about variable by 1. So this is my purpose, right? When I want to click to the button, I want this variable gonna increase by 1. So with like the raw HTML, I cannot achieve this behavior because like right now it's like static. So with the HTML right now, I have no way to access like the DOM and like this variable to manipulate it. So with JavaScript, we can achieve this behavior. So for example, you set like very small sample that I do write the script inside like the HTML file directly. We use like the script tag, and in which we're gonna define like the variable. So for this one, for example, we define like the variable as let like var number, and I initialize like 0 for example, and then I access to this DOM like id equals to number. I display it like this way, and then whenever to click, no, I will just give an ID for like person one, and I can access it by using like cron and person one equal to document dot get query selector. I can access it by using this method, and in which I'm gonna define like the ID, and with the ID we're gonna use like this slash person one. No, and like number, right now I access like the DOM of this element. So what you see here is like the HTML DOM. We have like the root, right? And right now this one is like the root, like the body. No, this HTML is like the root, the wrapper outside. And then we come up with the HTML, and we access like inside the body. We access like the element. Right now access like the element with like the ID, and there's multiple ways to access like element in DOM. Let's see another method. See here we can access by ID, as we using like specifically methods, but using like we can access by class name, by the tag name, and we can guess by query selector. This is more preferred because this is allow us to achieve to get the element more dynamically. We can access with the query selector. We can access like the element with like the tag, the name, and ID, which like specifically the prefix number right here. Because it's an ID, so I'm using this like this symbol. And if it's like the class, I gonna use this symbol, and if it's like the tag, so I just leave it blank, nothing in front. So this is like about the syntax. And right now I want to modify like the inside property, so I use access like the value entity. This is some like the property of like the element. So right now I want to increment the number here, so I could do it by asking the event listener. So the number var, the person one, and it's gonna receive like two parameters. The first one is like the event, so it's about a click, and the other one is like the callback function. So modify the function here. I will increment by we need to access like the content right here. We have like to modify like the value. For we need to use in like the text contents. We have to display these variables right here so that like whenever I access the text context, I increment by one. Let's see, I forgot about how to like push this element inside this task. So first I need to like number dot I'll just leave it there. I think there is something wrong. I'm gonna check it to the AI. It just be like the simple one, but I also but it's wrong. Number dot text contains now you see it's increments. I use like some syntax errors right here, so it's increments by one. It's gonna put the website dynamically right here. You see at this point it's gonna increase, and I can create like another button. It's gonna decrease. So I name it like a button two, and then I add another like button two. Done. We increase with the three, we increase and we decrease. So it's gonna add like event listener to this website. So it's gonna perform interactive behavior right here. So this is like the preview about how JavaScript gonna perform make the website interactive. So in the script we have like three variables. So the first only three of them, and one of behavior that create unit in JavaScript is that like we don't need to specify the data type for the variable. We just no matter it's like string, boolean or like the integer, double or anything, we just display like the last line const. And in the future, when we want to, we have like one behavior that allow in JavaScript that like if we define like the first variable like we define is like the number right here, but in the future if we want to assign to like a new string like hello world, for example, it's allowed. You see there is no error, see right here. So if there's no error, so this is one behavior in JavaScript, and the difference between like three of them is that like for the last file and const, like the cons and the less is like have like scope, have like block scope behavior, while like the var is perform like the low global uh, scope behavior, so it's not like belong to the only in like scope of the block, but also belong to like the whole page. So I'm gonna take example like uh, right, if number, I wanna just start like this example like if number is greater than 1, I gonna like create a new variable. Right now I gonna create it as like a var, right, like the string true, and then I display like hello world. For example, there is no semantic, but I just display it just to demonstrate. And right now you see it, this variable it belongs to this scope, but I can access it by using like if number is always true, we display console log string true. You see, like this like two different scope, but I can access this variable at the second block right here. So I gonna come into this one and I go into spec and console right here with increment by 1. You see, I'm gonna do it again. Yeah, I need to remove this one. You see, when I increment by 1, or nothing display in the console. It's kind of weird. I just remove this block and under define. Why is like not under define? I already define like a variable right here. I'm gonna ask adjustment as one to demonstrate the behavior of the let of a variable that can be accessed as global. Under define, it's still accessed, but it under define, so it's not safety. So you just see here it can access it, but it's under define, so it's RAM still run. So if I using like the less right here, I think it's gonna like the error gonna be caught. So if you use like the var, so it's under define but it's still valid, so it's not safety to use like the var. So normally we using the let, and the con is a more safety because it belong to this scope. So whenever you use it in like another scope, it's gonna inform us errors right here. So it's more safety. It can prevent safety the error. So it is about the variable, and then about the operator. So this is similar to other language. The only difference is like the comparison. Like we also between like the two equal and triple equal, the difference between terms that like for the um, for the true double it will compare the value, but for the third triple it's going to compare both of the value and the data type. So I'm going to touch example. So because I already tell you like I can display like this one number 2 at the string. Right now the number is string. I can compare when I can compare the two of them, like number equal to number 2. For example, in Java it's gonna display like 4, right? It's gonna not run this block because this is like, it's also in Java it's also compare like data type, but in JavaScript if we just use like two double equal sign, it just compare the data, not like both of the data type. So right now I just display like console log equal. Right, you see here it's going to display like equal, but if I using like a two triple, I'm gonna use like the L right here. It will display not equal because it's going to compare like two the data type too, because this one is like a string and this one is integer, so it's not the same, so it's not equal. This is like the whole point. And the control flow in the JavaScript is similar to other language. And then like about the DOM manipulation, I also showcase like some simple example when you're using manipulate the HTML DOM. Like we get the elements by ID, circle, and edit like the inner value. You see here we edit like the text content, like this quantity, like the text content inside this tab. So we edit it, and this is how we do. And event handler right here, I add like an event click, and this is all about them. And then about the ASS feature, and like for example, for I think this like this like example from this above class. For example, for this person above, I have like the name. I'm gonna take example right here. Now remove everything, save, and then inside if I like class like person, right now it's not this one, and I create like constructor. In twist I declare like two variable name and a, for example, and I will assign the attribute from the argument name, and second this 8 equal to 8. Okay, this is all about like why. Okay, I just leave it alone, right? That is great. And then I will create and one thing we noticed in the JavaScript is that like we don't need to specify the data type of this one, so it's not safety. It's mainly way we need to provide some like logic to check. But in the future we're using a TypeScript so that we can define like the data type. So if we provide the wrong one, it's going to inform us properly. So right now just using JavaScript like process one. So for example, I want to get like the attribute like the name and the age of the person as a variable. So normally I will like using this way, like name equal to persons one dot name, right, and current age equals to person one dot age. That is what we do in like another language. It's other language called log. Done. So for example, I'm gonna touch it like examples right here. You see it's gonna display testing first properly, but you see it's like write a lot of long word, and the variable is similar with the name of the attribute. So in the exercise it introduced like a new feature. Instead of writing everything like this way, we can destructuring like a variable because it have the same name. So we just need to provide like the curly brackets right here, and we destructuring like the name into 8, and it still display properly. You see, just like this way, it's like more semantic and like the shorthand to destructuring the object in JavaScript. and then about the spread and the rest. And for short description, like just gonna perform like the deep copy instead of perform like the shallow copy. For example, I have like one array, like con less as array equal to 1 2 3, right? And I will copy this array, like array 2 equal to array 1, and then I'm gonna console display it. What is like the method gonna display is let's see, map. I'm gonna using like the map, and I will see like the number, and then also log num. Okay, you see it's gonna display 1 2 3. So right now I already display like 2 of them right now. You see arrays one not only is right 1 2 3 1 2 3. So right now it's gonna perform like the shadow copy, which means like the array 2 and original array gonna pointing to the same memory. So if I want to change, but for example right now if I array 2 push new number like 4, and I display it again, you see pool of term gonna be changed. Like this is for array 1, original one, and this is like array 2. So I want to prevent this behavior, so that I want to perform like the deep copy, which means like it's gonna copy value by value, gonna allocate the new memory and copy e value from original one and to the new array, and assign array 2 to the new memory. So I using like the syntax. First I put it in like the square bracket, and in from this I using like the triple dot. So right now as you see it prevents its behavior. Right now first it's like the original one, and when I modify like array 2, it's gonna add like the 4 right now, but the original one not be affected because 2 of them have like 2 different array, not like the same one. This is the behavior of the spreading, and then about the template literals. So for example, for this one, if I want to display like hello, my name is, and my age is. So how I can display this variable inside with like the strings like this way? I can grab it. First I need to change the outside double quote into this quote, and then I push like the dollar sign in front of this, and then I push and then I put using like the curly brackets right here, and then it's my age. I using like the dollar right here, curly bracket, so it's going to display it dynamically. You see it's going to display like my name is hello, it's my age is 19 from this instance. Okay, and then about asynchronous JavaScript. Like I'm gonna talk about the behavior of JavaScript. So JavaScript is like the synchronous language, which means like only one thread in like the language. So when it's run, for example, I have like the code like this. For example, right? It have like this. For example, the code in JavaScript. It's gonna run line by line, like 1, like 2, like 3. For example, like 3 right here and like 4 right here. It's gonna take like a period of time. So rather than waiting it to finish, it just like the read and compile and it's not waiting for it. It just like moves to the new line. So it's like behavior, default behavior of JavaScript. So this is something that we don't want in some case. For example, we fetch the data from database, and then we're gonna update the UI from this data. So we need to waiting for this data. So we're using like the asynchronous behavior, and we in the path we using like the callback function that we're gonna pass it, and it's gonna be called the problem like the branches, the endless branches, and it's much the code more messy. So we introduce with like a promise. So we just like create the promise and link all the logic with like the 10 methods, but it's still messy in many ways. So we introduce a new way like a sync and array. So we just basically like it's like the sewer syntax of the promise. So we just need for the function that's gonna check we want to perform like synchronous behavior, we're gonna use things like the sync keyword, and for the behavior that's gonna take the period of time, we just using the array. So rather than moving the new line, it's just to await this line to finish to move to the new one. So it's all about it. And then about the web storage. So easy to understand web storage is like we're gonna store the information to the local computer of the client. So for example, when the user log into the web page, so if and in the future they close the web page, and in the future they open the web page again. So if they already provide like the inputs, we want to store the information, and we don't want to um, to force the user to provide the input again because they already store it. So this is when we use like the web store. Then this is all about like the theory, and it's going to come up with like some theory about the HTML DOM. So as I mentioned, the HTML the JavaScript can access and manipulate the HTML DOM like the trees like this. Like we write this strip, and this strip can manipulate like the structure above. Like this way, this is like the HTML DOM trees, and we can access it with the current methods as I mentioned, with ID, class name, and tag, and with the query selector. We can choose select like dynamically. We can choose any type, and the difference between like query selector and selector are like for example when we select like the tag, right? For example, the div. The div for example, and in our program there are multiple div. So for the first query selector is just like choose the initial one, like the first is pickup, and for the query selector or is gonna pick up all the div tag inside our HTML. This is the different. And here is like the DOM property. It can manipulate and change the content of many things. Right here we change like the text content, like the intent of it's gonna return like the inner value of the content of the tag. For example, for the tag title right here, we have like the document. So it's gonna just return the document, but for the inner HTML, it's also like return the whole thing, the whole tag, right? Like this way. So this can modify like the inner HTML by this way, and we can access like the value for the input element, like for the input tag. We can access like the value of the input by using this syntax, and we can set like the source, the href of the link, class name, the ID, many things, everything we can name it. And then like the manipulation, we can like append, we can modify it as I do earlier, as we can create the element, and for example, I create like one element like the session right here. This is like I gonna create like the parent tag. So inside it, I want to add more tag like the p, and but I want to achieve it dynamically. Like for example, when the customer, the client click the button or do anything, it's gonna add children to this session. So I'm gonna create a new one by accessing the DOM, and then I append to like the parent, append to this, and I can insert many way, and we can like change the attribute of the class right here. You see, like we can set the attribute to href, and we can get it, and we can remove it. We can do whatever we want, and we can style with this way. We can access the element and change the style of the tag, and event handling. like form handling, driver source. We can do everything. So I gonna do one small example to demonstrate it. So this example, like when the user log into the web page, it's going to display like the list of the book, and they can like provide like the author and the name of the book. So this book gonna be added to the list, and I also using like the local storage that's gonna store like the provided input from the user. So if when they like close the web page and they log in again, it's gonna be still stored here. So it's not removed. It's gonna like load everything again, and I will create like one class of the book. It's have like two attributes, the name and the author, so that like it will construct this object, because like for example when we fetch the data from the database, the non-relational one, it's gonna, or relational one, whatever, it's gonna just return like the list of the information, so it's not be allocated properly. So if we want to create an object, it's gonna make um, our objects more organized. So I gonna like draw out to demonstrate. So first I gonna have like one HTML file. It's gonna display the structure of the web page, and when the user enters the web page, it's gonna display like the list of the book, and it's gonna call for the service class, and for the service class, it display like C, okay, hello, so for AML files, what I already do, I want to iterate like it also like come up with like the service first, but I have like the database file, database this, right, this corner is when the database, no, it's gonna come to service. This, I'm strong with this one. It's gonna come to the service. It's gonna perform where it's gonna perform the logic for the web page. It's gonna fetch. It's gonna the service. It's gonna call for the database file in which it's gonna commute. It's gonna fetch the data, and then it's gonna get it back and construct the new book variable. So I'm gonna create like a new file. This is like class file. This is the book, and this is the book file. So in which it's gonna contain like all the attribute of the object. So to more, this is like the page structure of this application. So so I'm gonna do it right here. So for the index, it's gonna contain for all the script of the body. So for the bodies, I'm going to define like the structure first. I'm going to use the S1 like the display for the book list. Let's display the book list right now, and I will create like the form element. It will provide us to get element. To get an element inside the body. So first I declare the form tag, and I will provide it with like an ID, and let's call it like the form list, for example. And inside the form I create like a two input field, in which I gonna provide like two input field, and I can specify it with like the input, and I can put with like the name of the tag. So right here I name it with like the name is what is it, the book name, for example, and the second one is the author name. And the reason why I provide is name is that like in the future when I access the form by ID, I can access the elements by the name, so it's more easily to put author. This is the name, and now I can provide like the placeholder for to display what's inside the input, like enter the book name, for example, and inside this one I provide the author name, you see, and I create another person, and I name it like ID equals to person one, add book, more semantic, and then when I so this is all about the basic one. So now I want to create, first I will create another, I like something, I will like create one div. This div on is like the list of the book where the user log in, book list. I want to name it like the book list right now, and I will create a javascript like the book.js, and I create like the class right now, book or constructor, and it will have like the title and the author. It's going to display this title equal title, this author equal to author. What's wrong right here? Okay, this are finished, and then I will create another one like the service layer, the database layer. So I will call it like service, app.js, where I'm gonna provide that service, and another one is for like the book, the service, the book, and the database. To be example, so when I get the object, I'm gonna come into this one. So first I will import book. I export this one first. Export default book, and inside this one I will import like book from dot app book.js, finish, and then what I do inside like the app is that I think I'm gonna do just logic in like the database logic. So I'm gonna create like couple functions. The first function is forget the value. I don't remember it correctly, but like get the value. This function gonna get the value, get database value, get data, for example, to get it more semantic. So first I'm gonna check like the variable value equals to storage, local storage dot get item. I'm gonna look up to the like the syntax. After where is this the web store, local storage, like we're gonna get like an item, and we're gonna specify like an ID right here. I'm gonna name it like the item list, no, book list 2, for example. I can specify it like con book key local storage key equals to book list 2, for example, and then I pass it here. So I'm gonna check again if this value, if I'm gonna return value equal if this value exists, it's gonna like the local storage. It's gonna parse the value like JSON dot parse the value, and then we call, because right where it's paired, it's gonna return like an array, so we can map it, and we can like the book, we can use it like this. We can create like new book with like the b dot title and b dot author. Done. Or we can use in another instance right here, we're using like square brackets, we're gonna return like new book. You can use like the dummy data right here, like the title is book 1. Book 1. How to use these properties right here. New book title dot author. I'm gonna check it. I forgot how to provide an array. So okay, it will create a new one, new tool. This one, yeah, this that is choose. Now we will create another function to save the data. Save data is worth to like using like the arrow function here. And the user wanna provide like the title and the author, so we're gonna check it. First we go create a new object like the new book equal to book new book, let new book equal to new book, title and author. When we get like the book, we can save it. So first we need to like create like data equal to get data, and then for this data we will dot push new book. Then this is one, and then we need to save it to like the local storage. Alright, so we have to call like save to local storage. We could define like a new function. This function will it's gonna receive like an array of book, and then let's copy the resistance. You're gonna set an item local storage. Set item, set item, and then we can specify like the local storage key. Right now this one it is, and the second is like the value, so we want to specify like the book. We need to like JSON stringify. Done, and we need to save it to like the new data. set to local storage. Done. This is all about like the database, and then for inside the app. So first we need to export from this export to get data, save to. No, we don't need to export this one. We just need to export like the data. Done. And then we're gonna define for this one, into which we're gonna import from like the function from this. Import it, and we're gonna specify db example, and then what is from here is not uses no problem right now. So inside it, we want to it's gonna get the data, and then it's gonna get the data and then return to the web page. So can't display book function equal to. So first it's gonna get like the book, let book equal to get data, and then we are gonna use first we need to access the DOM. So first like to let the inform form list to get document, document get for ID like form list, if right, form list which are like s, and less like display list. For ID, and we using like we can use like Paris letter right here, and we use specify as like ID, and we using like the book link, using like the book list right here, and after this we will create like last paragraph like document create. I don't remember the stuff is right and not. We need to. Okay, and then when we get this, we're gonna modify like the content, like inner content equal to when we get the book, we're gonna like for each matrix, they're gonna access like for each element, and in which we define like the function like this way, and we need to destruct like the title and the author right here. Title. We scroll for like the author right here. Then we get this, and then we apply and try like this playlist. Done, but some syntax error right here, so I gotta use AI to make it quick right now. While waiting for this, I will create another function like form link add yeah. Okay, and add event. For this one, it's gonna first get the value from title, right? Title equals to from list, and we specify as a name like the author, and we get the value, and then we trim up. Right, this is like the whole step, and for let author is like the same from list, like author dot value dot trim. Then I wanna go for like seeking for the name. The name is a book name. I make it wrong. Author. I'm gonna change another name. This one is title, and the second is like the author. So right here, like title. The second one is author. When it set the value and then it trims up, it will create a new new book. For example, equals to new book, and title author. For this one, it will save the data. It will create one. Okay, I'm gonna call this function say book. This function say data. Say data, and push the title and author. Honestly, I don't need this one too, and I will display it again. Done for this one, and then the final one is like let function equal to asynchronous. This one will return display. Book. What is wrong? I'm gonna ask like an AI. In which I'm gonna ask like the type is equal to module and script and how to like href or link status query. Okay, yeah, I do it wrong right here. And it's called its function. And then for this one, I will like export the script file into HTML. How to export it? Things longer for a better answer. I don't need to like the better answers right now. I just forgot to how to do it though. Script, I wanna check it. What is short? Okay. Lost gas like app.js. Students profile and expected book.js. Why there is some problem right here? Anyways, why things wrong right here? I want to check it with AI for fast. Looking for its errors. I just look at storage for instance. Put class storage for instance and Aug13 into one place. This one, okay, I do this copy each of them. It's similar to my one, but I don't know like where it's wrong. Like the book. Okay, similar to my one too. And DB in GS. Because it is only default, so I don't need to provide this thing. I know the reasons why it must work for me, but it's still not right here. It's gonna display everything altogether right now. So if I ask the new book tree, no, I'm gonna open it like this web page, book tree and Aug13. Ask book is gonna ask it into the page, and even like when I reload the page, it's gonna still right here because I store the information in like the local storage. So right now this is all about JavaScript, and I also want to talk about another feature like inside like this app.js. I can no, not this file, this one.